enjoy the show, play on Perjangers.
There we go.
There we are.
Okay.
All right, let's try this again.
Okay.
Welcome finally to Tales of the Hunted. God, it's like we've been trying to get you on forever.
I know, it really has, actually. And I'm sorry about last time. It just, schedules got so screwed up. And it was like, let's do it now. Oh, I can't. I'm going to be out of town. Let's do it now. Oh, I have an appointment now. And it just,
By the end of the year, I'm going to start getting pretty busy myself. Like I was mentioning before, I got a charity event for my charity on December 14th. So I'm going to be busy on that day. But thank God you guys are going to 2 days this year.
Yeah. I'm only slightly terrified.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But even just from being down there last year, the community loves that event. They love that Comic-Con, knowing every year, something to do during the wintertime, get to go see awesome people like Dax, like, all the amazing guys that I was seeing on here on the Facebook page, which everybody needs to look up, Ocean City Maryland Comic-Con.
Ocean City MD Comic-Con. Jersey's got one, and Ocean City, New Jersey's also got one, and I didn't want to step on their toes early on, so I put the MD in there just to make sure everybody knew it wasn't New Jersey.
Yeah, that's fair enough, though. That's fair enough. I mean, Jersey isn't the one people want to go to.
Oh, come on. Jersey's just fine.
Yeah. Go to Jersey enough. They just raised the toll, and they're still not charging enough to get the hell out of that state. I'm just putting it that way. $6.50, but come on, I'd gladly pay $10 to get out of this state.
Yeah. So do you want to scoop on a new guest? Do you want to scoop that I haven't announced?
We're all for breaking news.
Okay, so I've got. Hang on, I'm just looking this up here. 1 second. I've got Kim Dyla. Who was Volvatron from Guar, and is in a bunch of other bands, and she does really cool handmade clothes. She's been dressing professional wrestlers and rock stars and all kinds of other stuff in the clothing that she's creating. These kind of cool things. But also, she was Volvatron in Guar. So we're gonna have her as well as Don, who is Sleazy Martini in Guar. So we're having kind of 2 Guar guests. So I haven't announced that yet. Nice. But I figure I'd give you a scoop on a new guest, because
that's awesome, because I noticed obviously you're gonna have Saturday morning props back there. Iron Man's gonna be patrolling around. Love that guy. Mark McKenna, he doesn't do many cons, but I saw him last year. You'll see him again this year. He's a really great guy. We had him on the podcast, and just among that, all the other people that you have on here. Bob Michelucci from Dawn of the Dead. Also, Mike Ankes.
Mike Ankes. He was Day of the Dead.
Yes.
And then we may have another Dead guest coming up, and we may have a Land of the Dead guest coming up.
Okay.
And I've got like 20 more guests that I have not announced yet. It's too many this year, I feel like.
Well, I saw you're also getting a lot of comic actual guests as well, which is big for a con. To actually, hey, we have an artist alley. These are guys, you're going to love them. Being able to have all the aspects of a whole bunch of different cons. There are horror cons out there, comic cons, just entertainment cons, and it felt like it wasn't like you were trying to do too much, because there was something for everybody, but there was also plenty. If you wanted indie comics, I saw a bunch of comics. I'm like, oh my God, they have their own cartoon? What do you guys got? What is going on here? It's like Candyland for a comic, just for a comic guy like me. I loved it. I got lost way too many times, but that's what you want.
Thank you. Yeah, well, and that's part of the metric for going 2 days too. Is it's just we're big. I mean, we've gotten big, organically. Never.
Yes.
Initially it was not meant to be what it is now. Initially, it was meant to be sort of a smaller hotel show, where like me and my friends spent the day, and it was kind of out of season. And it would just be kind of fun, and it really got away from me quickly.
Good ideas usually do that.
Yeah, and I mean that's great. But I will say I never set out to do a con of this size ever at all. I really, it surprises me more than anyone else.
Right.
Every but yeah, like I do try to focus in more on some more comic guests. We have this guy Frank Percy that shows up sometimes.
Yeah, occasionally.
But you know,
if you come to his table at the right time, people usually think I'm Frank Percy, so it's fine. You know,
we need to get you a name tag that says Frank Percy.
Frank Percy.
I'm not Frank Percy.
Right.
Hilarious. It is. It's true because I want to see the show. I want to walk around. I want to see. I get my my autographs. I got my autograph last year from Brett Breeding. Awesome guest there. I mean, like super nice. Talked for me for a few minutes. And I know I got to get back to my table, and I go, never mind. You know, so I just talked to him for a little while. Mark, I saw Heather Reed, and I saw Nick the Con Dude. You know, no longer the Con Kid. You know, Nick the Con Dude. He was there. A bunch of other, you know, great people. Talked to Mark for a minute. I always go back and talk with Mark every once in a while, floating around. But you know, I enjoy it. I mean, I really want to be and see everything. That, you know, sit behind the table is nice, but you know.
Yeah. Well, it's also the thing that really impressed me was the level of cosplay. Because last year we did Blue Hen and then we had Ocean City. And just from 1 to 2, I looked at Ocean City and I'm like, oh my God. Like the Mecha Godzilla and all, it wasn't just Iron Man. There were plenty of people who put just as much effort into their cosplay costume that just showed up.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, cosplay anymore is cornerstone to any nerd event you're gonna do. Like there's no not doing that. Like you can't even do a toy show anymore, not have a cosplay contest. Like it's just sort of the way it is. So I've definitely tried to lean into that some. We give $1 off if you're in costume. You know, I don't really know other shows that do too much of that, but I think it's good. I think it's good for the floor. I think it creates more interest. I think people have more fun with it. So I want to make sure we do it. We have a very large costume contest where everybody gets to walk the stage. We don't do any prejudging or anything because I want everybody to get their 5 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, so you know, and we have that in a theater.
Nice.
So I think that attracts people to come. You know, and really focus in on their cosplay and really and I get told all the time, oh, I start my cosplay for Ocean City, you know, the day after the last one stops, you know. So I think it's cool. Also, because we're a little out of season, you know, people don't have to sort of hurry up to get their stuff done. So they kind of have all year and they get to work the kinks out. And by the time they get down to me, you know, they've already figured out all the things that didn't look right or broke or whatever in every other show. And so it's perfect by the time they get to me.
Yeah, it's polished by that time. By December,
it's almost like a stand-up comedian when they start their bits, and by the time they have their special, it's all polished. It's all good. Nope, I'm done. I'm already thinking of the next one.
Mm-hmm. Exactly so. Exactly so. And again, you know, I think we're pretty welcoming of the cosplay community too, which is good.
Is there any guest that you would love to have that you haven't gotten yet?
No, I love all the guests that I have. I like to get some kind of, you know, I like to get some of the somewhat weirder stuff. Like I said, I'm getting guests from Guar and some more horror stuff. And no, there's nobody in particular. Like every year, there's a couple of people where I'm like, you know, I'd kind of like to get them, and I end up, you know, most of the time getting them. But no, there's you know, that's not the answer you wanted, I know. But no, there's nobody in particular who I'm like, I must have them. I'm just like,
I mean, it is still the very parental answer. Like, no, I love all my kids the same. I don't have a favorite. Jimmy, kind of, but I'm not going anything 100%.
Yeah.
Love you all 49%.
I love all my kids the same, but your life.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So what brought this on for you? What was, you know what? This is a good idea. This is something that I want to go into. Was it just
so are you do you have a minute for the origin story? Because
absolutely.
I publish with my friends at PLB Comics. We publish comics together. That Josh. $2 will get you a cup of coffee at Wawa. I used to work AV and IT in Ocean City, and it was wintertime. I was hanging up projectors in a hotel in their ballroom. They had a Warhammer event the weekend before. It still goes on. It's called Shorehammer. It's a cool event.
Nice.
And I had said, well, how many people did you get? And they're like, oh, it's like 50 or 60. I went, oh, that's a shame, And she goes, well, why is it a shame? And I'm like, oh, they couldn't have afforded this space on 50 or 60 people. She looks at me and she says, it's December. And I was like, yeah, what's that mean? She goes, I'm just trying to keep people busy. If you rent, a very modest amount of hotel rooms, we'll just give you this space. Now, that's not true anymore. Winter is sort of bulked up as far as events in Ocean City, but at the time it was. So I went, oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, reserve the following weekend for me for next year, and let me make a couple of phone calls, and let me get back to you tomorrow. So, I got home and I talked to my wife and I said, hey, am I stupid or should we do a little comic event? And she goes, both. And I'm like, great. That tracks. So then I called the guys and I'm like, hey, we know enough comic people. We know a couple of guests. We know tons of vendors and artists and everything else. Should we do this? Really very little buy-in. It'll be fun. I'll just need some money for advertising and some other things. And I'm like, so am I stupid or should we do this? And they went, both. And I went, okay, great, consensus. So we did the thing, and it snowed on the day. And my estimate was 500 people, and it very quickly went to 5 people.
Yeah.
With the snow. So the night before, I'm in the hotel bar where we're all staying, and it's karaoke. And I am literally singing Smith's songs and crying into my beer while I'm pointing at the television behind me with a giant storm front. And I'm like, boys and girls, I'm really sorry. I don't think we're really going to have anybody tomorrow. I'm still going to open the doors, but I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see. And because it was off season, because I wasn't charging very much for tables and all that other stuff, everybody went, that's okay, and decided to get rip roaring drunk. And they did. Morning comes around, and I get this on my hotel room door. And I open up the door, and it's one of my volunteers. And they're like, have you looked outside? And I went, no. Is there like 12 feet of snow on the ground? And they're like, no, you may want to go look outside. I went, okay. So I get dressed, and I throw on my staff shirt, and I pulling on my shoes as I'm getting into the elevator, and I walk outside, and the line is around the hotel twice.
Oh,
wow.
We had 2,500 people the first year in a hotel lobby.
Wow.
It was in the off season in Ocean City. Like, it didn't even make sense. I didn't even understand how this was happening.
Wow.
It created, obviously, its own problem. So from that point, the hotel was like, that was wonderful. You did a great job. Please never do that to us again. That's fair. So then I went to look at the convention center, and even just a fraction of the convention center, because you can get it parts. It's got big air walls and stuff. You can cut the space up. So, but even to just get part, like, it was significantly more money than came in from that first year show. So I had to go back to my wife, who was lovely, and I said, honey, I would like to liquidate our savings and rent a convention center. And if it goes wrong, I will sell off my comic book collection and put the money back. And she looks at me and she goes, dumbass, you're not going to have to sell anything. Just do the thing. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And we did. And from there, we've just exponentially kind of grown out. So like I said, initially it was never meant to be the sort of big event that it is now. It really was just meant to be kind of a fun little hotel show in an area that doesn't have anything.
Right.
And that was really the real impetus, is that the joke is PLB Comics got really tired of having to drive 3 hours to everything. So we decided to throw a convention in our own backyard so we didn't have to drive as far.
Right.
And that's only half a joke. Like that is actually sort of part of the metric of why it's happened. But yeah, so that's the long, ridiculous answer to how this all started.
There had to be at least one, man, because every great idea does have its own kind of superhero origin story, in some way or fashion. Even me and Frank linking up for this podcast. I've known Frank for 4 years now. right before he was going to do a Comic-Con in media, but then COVID happened.
Right.
And then we just, hey, love to have you on the podcast. I had him on the podcast a couple times, and we, myself and my business partner Chris and Frank, were forming members of the Great Media Comic-Con the initial year. That's where the podcasting fell out, and I stepped down after that year. And my friends are all busy, doing the Comic-Con stuff. So I had my other friend Kat. We did the Matt and Kat show for a while. She stepped out after we had Frank on, and I was like, "Hey, Frank, you want to just keep on podcasting?" And then we got on Aleem Legit. We got Michael Florio. We got Josh Shockley. Love Josh. We got Jim Cantinelli and all of them. I was so excited when I got John the Swamp Dude comic he sent me, because it had the trading cards in there. Me and Frank were talking about it to my friend's daughter and just saying, dude, I felt so special. I got the comic and the trading cards. Like, that's something you keep off to the side.
Comic book, Jesus,
shipping is everything.
Yeah,
it's really expensive. Buy it on Amazon now. Pitch Perfect, small towns.
We're all spoiled. We're all spoiled by Amazon because the shipping is free, and it comes in 2 days. And then, like, I go to ship a couple of comic books out, and even with media mail, which you're not really supposed to send comics media mail, but I'm going to say they're media, so stop being mean to comic books and just let me ship it for cheaper.
Yeah.
It's like $5 or $6.
Mm-hmm.
Comic only costs $4.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what am I supposed to do with it?
I bought my books, the author copies, and I'm like, oh, it's Amazon. I'll have them like tomorrow. They're like, yeah, 2 weeks. What happened to your old Amazon expeditedness? 2 weeks?
Yeah.
It was 13 days. I'll give them that.
It was less. It was less. Not significantly less, but it was less.
It was. So, I was already pleasantly surprised. So that was that. But that's big, man. I can understand why that hotel didn't want you back. But I can also that's exactly why you would make that move of liquidating savings and getting that space, because it's a smart move to have at a shore town that can draw people from states and states away, just because of the content and the people and vendors and everything that you have there. They know it's going to be a special event, and now with 2 days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I remember that you were at the convention center. You were at the side entrance area for the load-in. They had this smaller, and every year it's only gotten bigger and bigger. So I mean, I was just floored. I mean, it was just so nice. I mean, you guys have done a great job. So I wasn't there at the hotel, but your first year at the convention center.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just fantastic. It's just gotten bigger and bigger, and it's just like, wow. So
I'm kind of glad you weren't at the first year at the hotel. I feel like that was kind of a catastrophe.
No, be fun, please. I've seen some crazy ones, but
it just nobody could move, and I dead-ended all the aisles just because of the way the room was set up, and I just did not imagine the amount of people.
Didn't think there was going to be a traffic jam. I'm sorry.
It was an incredible I have the cosplay contest on a stage in the room with the vendors, and there was just, you couldn't move. I had to keep telling people, hey, you can't stand here. We need to be able to have people walk through. Like, if the fire marshal walks in here, it's everybody out of the pool.
Yeah.
Please, I feel like a lot of learning. A lot of learning and pain came from that first year.
You learned what not to do.
Yeah, a lot. Everything is a learning experience. Sometimes it's just learning not to do that crap again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's also that key phrase my father's told me my whole life. It's good to learn from your own mistakes. It's better to learn from someone else's.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Listen, and not just mistakes, from everything. I always go to other shows with my eyes wide open. Like I'll ask, because I'm always happy to answer any questions anybody has for me. I to be that way. I think that when it comes to events, the rising tide lifts all boats almost. You know what I mean? Like, they're not only going to go to one event, they're going to go to a whole bunch of events. it doesn't make any sense to not be helpful to one another. You know what I mean? To me, just please don't be in the same town in the same month. Like that's going to be a problem. but you know what I mean? Like, but truly, like I don't. I'll share any. Ask me. You know what I mean? Like I will answer any of it. I'm not going to like hand you my like vendor lists.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? And so when I go to other shows, I always talk to promoters, and if there's something I see that's interesting or that I have a question about, man, I don't I don't shy away. I immediately walk up and go, "Hey, where'd you get that?" Or would you be terribly put out if I asked this guest to come to my thing too? Only if they're a little further away. I won't do anything from like Dover down. Like I won't ask for their guests unless they approach me. You know what I mean? At that point, I have to make a decision. But,
you've always been helpful. You've always been full of answers. I have to say. I mean, no matter what. I mean, it's. I always see you floating around and like like okay, let's see your head like spinning. It's like wow. But you've always been super helpful. Questions and you always have a great response to everything. So I mean, that's always just a fantastic quality.
I try. I don't see any reason to be anywhere else. I don't understand. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't be? It just
we've experienced those kinds of people who are opposite you, and it's very refreshing, especially because I haven't podcasted in a while, and it's very refreshing to have another person who has the same ideals that Chris and I do, and Frank and I do. Chris and I, when we form Perjangers, we have our core ideal of our company is we build each other up, and it's very much because a rising tide lifts all ships. Because we're all only going to get more attention and get better. And it's kind of the point of podcasting. Talking about people who have great ideas, great events that are locally to someone. Because podcasting is, the new kind of international radio. There used to be those local stations. You could tune in. Hey, what's happening in my area? Oh, there's an event. Let me go check that out. Those spots on radio stations are extremely expensive.
Yes, they are.
And now you got podcasting to where, all right, they got an ad read, but they also tell me about all this awesome stuff. There's this other layer to the internet now that, it's if you want to freak yourself out, you could, I don't watch the news, but you could also learn how somebody picked themselves up from their bootstraps, like Johnny Necro, going from homeless to having 25 years of his own comics successfully going with The Frozen Dead. There's success stories, much like yours, to where someone will see your story and say, you know what? Why can't I have a small con in my town?
Yeah. Oh, there's been a couple that are like, man, if an idiot like you can make this work, I certainly can make this work. And I'm like, yep, that's true. I'm a moron. If I can do this, you can do this. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
Oh, that's not true. That's so not true.
It's not a Harvard University degree, but you do have to be kind of smart to pull it off. You can't just.
I think you just have to. It's not even terribly smart that you have to be. There's a lot of heavy lifting. There's a lot of work. The first thing I tell a lot of people is just don't. And I don't say that because I'm worried about competition or anything else. I say that because it really is. It's not that it's hard. It's that it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying by that?
It's a labor of love.
It's a lot of little pieces, and none of them are like super difficult. But there's just a lot. It's going to be more than you think it is.
Yeah.
And that's what you always say. Like, be ready for that. It's going to be way more than you think it is. What you see when you go to a show is the end result. And if we're doing our job as promoters, it looks somewhat effortless. But let me tell you, I have never seen my own show. Ever.
Yeah.
I don't look up. I look down at my feet while I'm running from one fire to another fire to another fire to another fire. I have never experienced my own show ever. I get people who are like, "Hey, did you see?" And I just cut them off and go, "No." And they're like, "Well, you didn't let me finish." And I'm like, "It doesn't matter what you're about to say. The answer is no. I didn't see whatever it is." I have exactly 7 pictures of me at my own show over 7 years.
Hey, 1 a year. That's great.
Yeah. And the only way that I got the last 3 is that I told the Brothers Pacino from Mortal Kombat and the 501st to literally yank me by the back of the shirt when I'm running by them to grab a quick picture at some point during the day. When they see me and I don't look too frazzled, grab me so I can get this picture, because I never get around to it.
Right.
All the other pictures is somebody else have taken a picture while I'm like handing out prizes at the costume contest. That's the only other pictures of me.
Yeah. Well, first year of the Great Media Comic Con, I dressed up as a Jedi and Luke's robes, and I had Darth Vader at the front, and he was just smack talking me the whole time as I'm checking people in at the door. It's me and Vader going back and forth. But there was very much like I maybe got to go to the bathroom, and that was it. Like I was at that ticket count. It's when you're working a show, like, yeah, you really don't get didn't get to see 90% of that year.
Yeah.
You know, I
No.
met up with Leah Savoli at the end of the night because she lost her keys. And she wanted everybody to sign the shirt. So I was like, okay. So I could say, oh, I met you at the Great Media Comic Con at the end when you lost your keys. And I did mention that when I finally got her on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes I've had the greatest podcast never told because I've forgotten to turn something on or some technical snafu, as we've experienced.
Yeah. I was saying we just we've worked through that. We've all grown as people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually excited for the second day because we all know what a Sunday at a Comic Con looks like. It's a little less hectic. It's going to be less crowded. Everything will sort of be in place. You know what I mean? Like Saturday is going to be all the setup and all the sort of stressful things are going to be on Saturday. You know, the most of the line will be on Saturday. Most of the ticket sales will be on Saturday. Most people are going to be a full weekend ticket. I mean, that's just the way that works. Sunday tickets, you know, we're going to sell quite a few of them, but I think the majority of the people in the room will have a weekend ticket.
Right.
So that won't be quite so stressful. Things will just be a little calmer. And I'm actually a little excited for that because I might actually get to walk around my show
And look up.
And say hi to people other than, are you okay? You're okay? Okay, good. And then running to the next person.
Yeah. But you guys were very tentative at that con last year. I felt like, I said it afterwards, I felt like I was watered like a houseplant. You got water? You got water? I'll get you water. I'm like, yeah, man, thanks. Great, all the water I could drink.
I will say, and my volunteers are better people than me. I don't deserve any of them. They are lovely and wonderful, and I couldn't do any of it without them. Matt Shockley is my volunteer coordinator. It's the only job I have delegated. And I micromanage that too because I have mental disorders that make me do that. In any case.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get Matt on the podcast. I want to get him and Josh.
Yeah, you're gonna have trouble getting Matt on the podcast.
That's what Josh said.
Yeah, he works about 340 hours a day, and he's got his own business, and it's thriving, and I'm so happy for him, and I'm so proud of him, and I never get to talk to him because he is just. I've been trying to sit down to have a meeting with him about the volunteering this year and just what we need to do for expansion for 2 days and how do we go chase down some extra volunteers and, you know, all this other stuff. And every time I call him in the morning, I'm like, hey, we good for lunch? And he's like, no, I had this other thing come up and now I got to go, you know, buy a new bright tank for the, you know, or brew this other thing, or he didn't tell me all this grain's coming in today and I got to go put all that up, or, you know, I'm like, one of these days you guys are going to get some help and you'll be able to like sleep and see your family and stuff.
You'll sleep when you're dead. It's fine.
So yeah, I would not hold my breath too long for Matt.
Okay. We'll get him.
The stars will align one day.
Yeah.
They will align.
Yeah,
it's fine.
A broken clock is right twice a day.
Exactly.
Okay. So the universe.
Not anymore. Now it's just blank.
Yeah.
It's so true. That is so true. Yeah, it's just blank.
Gosh.
But one of the things that I did like is how one of the almost staples that I do see at cons are the 501st. which is, I love seeing him there. Have you seen the recent Star Wars, The Acolyte?
No, I'm behind on all nerd media. You should see my giant pile of comics that I subscribe to, that I'm paying for, that I haven't even gotten to. It's a nightmare.
Yeah,
no, I have not watched it.
I will say, it's really good.
Is it?
Yeah, fans had a problem in the beginning because of that whole thing they call character building.
Oh, yeah.
Setting up the story. Oh, but when you binge the whole thing, you'll get to the end and be like, I'm down for season 2.
Good. Because I got to say, I'm a little mixed on the Star Wars shows. I like some of it and I don't like some of it. I was not as huge a Mandalorian fan as everybody else was. I enjoyed it. I think it started to suffer toward as we got further. I think really the first season was super solid, and then I started liking it less as we could progress. That was part of the issue.
I can see that, yeah. Especially when you got the Book of Boba Fett, which was just like Mando season, 0.5.
Yeah, and I have my feelings about that, and like going back to Solo and stuff like that is, I'm not really terribly interested in the backstory.
No,
I like, when people tell you Han Solo is their favorite Star Wars character, what they're really telling you is that Harrison Ford being a badass in space is their favorite Star Wars character. So when suddenly there's a movie about him that isn't him, people are like, but why? And outside of Lando, I mean, the movie's just kind of flat.
Yeah.
And I felt that way about the Obi-Wan show. I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it. I watched it through. I thought it was fine.
It had a couple really good moments.
Sure. But on the whole, as a whole, it's just sort of like, okay. You know what I mean? It wasn't. It didn't blow me away.
Hey, that's fine. Just don't do a season 2. Put that down. That's fine.
Exactly. It was like, you've done it. It's fine. You did the thing. Cool.
Right.
We got to see Ian again.
Not to really pop a fuse here, but one of the rumors I saw, which is one of the other reasons I brought this up, because I do like to rant on a podcast. There's a rumor that Filoni and the boys think that if they do a live-action Clone Wars, that'll save Star Wars.
I don't know that Star Wars needs saving.
It's fine.
I don't hate any of this new stuff.
Would you leave those goddamn Skywalkers alone? Have they suffered enough?
Right. I do wish we would go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I do wish that the universe is very big. We tend to focus down on these one things. And I'm like, look, there's a whole universe. I for one, was really excited when they announced Rogue, because I thought it was going to be Rogue One. I thought it was going to be like Tycho and, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I thought was happening. And then when they announced what it really was, it's cool. And that's actually maybe one of my favorite of the new ones, but I was much more interested in Rogue Squadron, which is what I thought it was going to be. I don't think Star Wars needs saving. I think I love all things Star Wars, not equally. That's where I'm going to put it. I didn't hate any of the new stuff. I didn't hate any of it. I know a lot of fans were real mad. I know people were, my childhood is ruined. What shall I do? And I was just like, no, it didn't ruin your childhood. Those movies exist. Just go watch them. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to watch the new stuff.
You don't.
I didn't love it. It kind of felt like movies by committee.
If it was one solid director through all 3, it might have been better. But you had like Whedon in there, and then there was like A New Hope Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Hey, it's not a Death Star, it's a planet.
Right. It's a bigger Death Star. It's bigger. Okay, that's great. Now we can blow up 3 planets at the same time. Okay, it's a peaceful planet. Don't blow it out there. But but in any case, it's there was not a singular vision. No, we had some very interesting characters that we just threw away. We had some very interesting main characters that we just didn't build on.
Oh, yeah.
And it felt like one movie would come out, they would get some feedback, and then they would do the next movie. And I think that's a mistake. And I think that's a mistake because fandom never actually knows what it wants. It knows what it wants after it's already
Right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even know what it wants then.
No.
Fandom is not a monolith. The people who screech the loudest are generally the minority. The majority of people are quiet. They're not talking
because they don't have a problem with it. They're like, "What? It was fine.
It was fine." You know what I mean? Like that's the majority of people who are level-headed that I talk to. That's their response. They're like, "It's fine," and that's my response. I'm like, "It's fine." The people who are screeching that their entire world has been, whatever. That's really the minority. That's a lot of very loud people online.
My favorite line was from George Lucas, and he said, "This is made for 12-year-olds. It's made for 12-year-olds. Can you enjoy it? Yeah. I'm a very old 12-year-old.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's made for me, not for you. Just leave those Skywalkers dead. You can go to the beginning, go after. Dr. Afra, do that."
I would have liked to have seen some Old Republic stuff. Would be cool. There's so much stuff in the EU that you can kind of adapt and do cool stuff with. I mean, I know the EU doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, man. Those EU books, my brother gets them on Audible. And just listening through all of them, first off, those 3 books for Darth Bane is a masterpiece. Masterpiece. Revan, what was it? Even Into the Void and Red Harvest. Amazing Star Wars books. It's where you hear Kathleen Kennedy. It's not like we got books to feed from.
Except
you do.
Well, but Disney, when she says that, I think what she probably means is that Disney is saying you're not allowed to use it.
That doesn't exist anymore. You can't have that.
Right. That's basically what they're saying. Is this doesn't exist anymore. We're not using it, which is a damn shame because, like I said, you've got Rogue Squadron, you've got iJedi, so you've got Corran Horn, which is an awesome, fun Jedi character that sort of breaks Jedi rules all over the place, which I think people like.
There's also those Jedi you find out in the extended universe where, they have attachment. One guy, one master, multiple students, not a problem. Just them. Then Anakin meets him. He's like, "What the hell?"
Well, you find out that a lot of Force users were operating outside of the Jedi's sort of very rigid stuff. You also learn that, and anybody with eyeballs and a thinking mind will tell you that the Jedi aren't really the good guys either.
Oh my God, that is what I liked about Acolyte.
Okay, see, and that's
they pulled off of that, and that's why I liked it because they're in the High Republic. Show me why these Jedi fell and these Sith were able to just dupe them for over like 130 years.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And they do.
And it was
expertly done. Because I think they pulled from that.
Yep. Yeah, I'll get around to watching it. I'm behind on everything.
That one, I'd say put at your forefront when you got time to chip that one away because that one's actually, it's some of the best Star Wars that I've watched because, I liked Rogue One. I was okay with, the sequel trilogy. Of course, like you, some things that I didn't like, but overall, this is some of my favorite Star Wars because it's not dipping in that same pool. It's going further upstream to where, they said we need to only abduct children, and the Senate had a problem. Why? What? Whoa! Why are you taking kids? That's something to explore. Well, they got to keep them from the dark side. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's that and the you're not allowed to have attachments and all this stuff, but you look and all the masters did.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of and that's a great way to breed psychopaths.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like here, just.
Oh God, that's what we need: psychopaths with a doctrine.
And a laser sword. Here, great.
I don't see how they turned to the dark side. What's wrong?
Why on earth would they turn to the dark side? Here's all this cake. You can't have any of it. You have to protect everybody else's cake. You're not allowed to have any.
You can't have any cake.
No, cake is.
Then the Sith come along and they're like, "Did you want some cake? Here, take some cake.
We have a whole bunch. You want brownies? Have you had a brownie?
Here, please eat this cake.
I've only eaten ration packs. This is
Right,
so good.
And like, this cake is fantastic. Why wasn't I allowed to have this cake? And then suddenly it's,
stepped in the dark side. That cake is
right.
Thanks.
And then suddenly the Jedi Temple's, being taken over, and it's just bad. But no, honestly, with the new stuff too, I will say this, and I've said it 100 times. It's a very unpopular opinion. All the major complaints about the new things, I can make those exact same complaints about the original trilogy. They are the same problems.
Yeah.
I bleed Star Wars. I literally, to great expense to myself, have recollected all of my childhood toys. I'm not in my collection room right now.
Yeah.
Because it would take me half an hour just to move enough stuff so that I could sit down and do this. It's such a. I have my collection is amazing. People are like, that's a great collection. I'm like, thanks. It's a mental disorder. But I bleed Star Wars. But all the major problems that everybody has with the new stuff, I really can point to the original trilogy and go, yeah, that same problem exists there. If you look at it without the lenses of nostalgia, that first movie, go watch it again. You know what I mean? And just get away, wipe away all your fond memories of it and everything else, and be like, how's the acting in this film? How's the writing in this film?
Yeah, it happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. They didn't have word.
Right.
Script writing was vivid.
We love it, and I love it.
Yeah.
And listen, I love just a bevy of horrible things.
Oh, yeah.
And
one of my favorite movies is Rubber.
Yeah, no, I love Rubber. It's a great one. Mine is one of my favorites is Trancers. I don't know if you've ever seen this film. It is look it up. It is the poor man's Blade Runner. It is one of Helen Hunt's very first roles before she got her grill fixed. Okay. It's excellent. Full Moon Features, so the same guys who did Puppet Master and Subspecies and all this stuff. It was their science fiction film. It's called Trancers. Look it up. It's great.
Okay. Yeah, it's getting on Google.
Okay.
Google search right now. Okay. Oh wow, yeah, her grill was messed up.
It wasn't horrible, but yeah, the teeth were not straight.
Yeah, they weren't good. Okay.
She's a very pretty lady.
Oh no, she's beyond beautiful, but she was wasn't making a lot of money in that moment, so she did not have the money to get her grill fixed. And then like maybe a movie after that, she had movie money and she could taken care of.
There you go.
That's all it takes, a little bit of movie money.
Yeah. That's how they keep making Star Wars films.
Yeah, for real.
Just a little.
Well, see, they'll keep putting out Star Wars films, but then I saw, a lot of people in like the TV world are saying, well, Doctor Who's probably only going to get a second season. They're not happy with those ratings. You finally give Doctor Who some money.
I love Doctor Who. I grew up on Tom Baker and all the old guys, and I was so stoked when that got a revival. I literally have a Doctor Who fan club card in my wallet that I got when I was a kid because I begged and pleaded my parents to donate to public television so that I could have it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's my nerd credit card. It's where I keep all my nerd. And I really liked it. And then it's one of those things where after a while, I just sort of fell off. And I was like, well.
The writing kind of fell off a bit. See, Matt Smith had he had some of the best storytelling in that revamped version.
All of them. My issue with it is my issue with many things these days, is that I'm a big fan of Monster of the Week. I like Hogan's Heroes. I like stuff that you can watch an episode and not have to watch an entire season to get the story.
That's true too.
And in the original Doctor Who, we were saving the universe sometimes, but sometimes we were just saving the village.
Yeah.
Or one person or whatever. The stakes were not always cosmic. In fact, often they weren't.
Yeah.
And it made it personable and interesting and all that other stuff. When everything is saving the multiverse. I mean, after a point, you're like, maybe we should just let the multiverse go.
Just let it
save it every week.
Just let it go. You don't got to save that world.
and we're not humanizing these characters by having them kind of have real one-on-one reaction, or with people that they're helping or working with or whatever. It just bores me a little. It's the same problem with big superhero stuff. It's why I like street level superheroes. So that's what happened with me and Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who. I haven't watched the past few seasons. I fell off when Jenna was a companion.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No.
That's where I fell off.
Capaldi was a good doctor, but she was an awful companion. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, Amy was a little hooah in the beginning of that run with Matt Smith. She just wanted to say, "Oh yeah, that's my husband. Get out of here, Rory. Me and the doctor are talking."
Yeah.
Okay. Like they did have problems. Rose had daddy issues.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that was going to happen. They were definitely going to make it more dramatic in the, you know what I mean, in the revival. That was a foregone conclusion.
It's
just
coming
like
to your point that I feel they've dialed that up to 11 instead of making it more of a personable experience. They're trying to please everybody now instead of just their core idea they had.
Right. Yeah, and I think going back to go study those first 15 seasons or whatever, and go look at those again and see why they were so popular and why they have stood the test of time and why people still go back and watch them. And maybe just sometimes we can save the universe, and sometimes we can have heavy drama with the companions and all that other stuff, but sometimes it really should just be, oh, we're in a medieval village somewhere, and the sheriff has arrested these two people, and he shouldn't have done that, so we're gonna go fix it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
give me a few of those.
Yeah. They do have a trope they do, which is just like everything is caused by an alien now.
Yeah,
everything's an alien.
Us people can do wrong all by ourselves.
We don't need an alien.
All by ourselves.
All by ourselves.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be an alien. Just be a human. Just be a real shitty human being. And you know what?
Yeah.
You're still going to sell that story.
Yeah. So, Frank, I'm admiring your shirt. Is this Geek Boy Press? This is one of Louis'?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Thought so.
I have the long sleeve hoodie t-shirt of that.
It is comfortable. It really is.
God, it's so great. I love it.
Kudos to him, man.
Just a little bit too hot to wear my version of that today.
I love Louis. He's great. And he does very cool stuff. I actually have my, on the record player behind me, I have one of his slip mats. I have the Mars Attacks slip mat on.
Oh.
When I saw his vendor table, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
He sets up a nice table.
He does.
Even those little plaques that he has. I got one plaque of The Mandalorian for my brother, and then I got a David Tennant Doctor Who plaque for myself.
Nice.
That and the shirt, man. I was like, I need these. These need to be here.
I got for my father, actually, the Exterminate shirt that he had for a while.
Oh, love that one.
Great stuff. I mean, he's a cool guest. We've had him here twice at media. Mm-hmm. So I've seen him quite a few times down at different places. So he's around.
He's everywhere. He's
everywhere, really.
Shocking. Like I'll see him at an event, and then I'll literally the following day we'll see him at an event 3 hours away. And I'm like, I would be dead. There's no way in hell that I'm doing that. I mean, I've done a split event like that before. Yeah. But I tried desperately not to.
Because driving will take it out of you. Like, all right, I'm going to drive here. I can drive there. My last driving patterns through like the past couple days have been like apparently everybody decided to be on the road who didn't know how to drive. So that's where one of the stressors of driving to the event, setting up, is it going to be a popular event? Because sometimes you do all this work and you don't really get the sales.
Well, and the opposite's true too. Like you go and you got to be on all day and it's busy. I mean, listen, I don't know about you, but if I got to be on all day, that takes it out of me. Like my social battery is relatively large, but when you, you know what I mean? You got to be on. You got to be.
When you're teetering down there, you're just like, Dude, I'm delirious right now. I've had a long day. I don't even know what I'm saying. I've thrown that out there a couple times. You're like, look, it's been a long day. I don't care if I said the wrong thing there. That battery's done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's to the point, like, I'll go to some bigger, like, I'll do Baltimore. And I don't set up anymore, but I go to, promote and see my vendors and, do stuff. So I'm usually there all weekend. This year I'm only going to go 2 days. I'm not going to.
Okay.
It falls on my anniversary. So Friday I'm going to, take my wife out.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
If you want to keep your wife, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. It's really important. She, I don't know what I would do without her.
She gave you the inspiration to keep going on this. And that's what a person with a great idea needs. They need that person to push them off the ledge and say, bye.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, she definitely kicks my ass on the regular to make sure that I'm on the straight and narrow for everything and not screwing up. She is good at that. But yeah, man, like, so either it's not busy and you're just sort of like, or it is busy and you're so tired and burnt and mentally drained by the end that you just, so like in Baltimore, even just being there, and again, having to be on and having to talk to everybody and everything else, which I love to do, but it does take it out of me. And people are like, oh, did you want to go do this, industry thing or dinner with 30 people or whatever? And sometimes I go and sometimes like, no, man, I'm just going to go over to Oliver Street and get a drink and, some food and then go back to my hotel room and go to sleep. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch Ancient Aliens or something stupid. And fall asleep to it, and then wait to an infomercial, and then I'm going to have breakfast, and then I'll talk to you.
Frank knows one of my favorites is Ancient Apocalypse on Netflix.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one. I like this. Yeah. I go to sleep to those and all the murder shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had an ex who was really into Law & Order SVU. It was very awkward.
I don't mean the dramas. I mean the,
the crimes. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's people.
Yeah.
Those actors, they get too good sometimes. You're like, man, I'm not trying to go to sleep with someone screaming rape.
So here's the thing about all those forensic file shows and stuff. They're all very soothing. And that's why you go to sleep to them. They're like,
Yes.
And then they find the headless body of the dude in the bay. And, and you're like, oh, this is a very soothing narrator. Thank you for the.
Yeah.
For me, it was David Attenborough. He is like Michael Jackson, boy, I tell you.
Oh, dude, any David Attenborough, if you could fall asleep to it, because about like an hour into it, he's going to start guilting you that the entire world is going to shit because it's your fault. Like, dude, I have my own bag I bring to the grocery store. I'm doing my part. I recycle. Get off my back.
On that note, so if you want a little small town drama, I'm gonna give you a little small town drama. Now I live in the boonies. I do not live in Ocean City, even though Ocean City is kind of the boonies when it's off season too. But Ocean City is surrounded by boonies. The nearest metro to us is literally 2 hours away, more like 3. So I live in a little town called Hebron. Very nice little town. I'm the worst element on my block, which is what I prefer.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I'm the one people point out and whisper. That's what I want. And
neighborhood's not doing too bad. Just want to tell you guys.
Yeah. You guys could have worse. I'm pretty okay. You guys could have worse.
You can have a lot worse. It's fine.
So we don't have recycling. You have to run your own recycling. I have to drive my recycling, which is fine because it's on my way into town, so it's not a big deal. But we have recently switched our trash providers, and the old one would pick up whatever the hell you threw out there. They would just grab it. The new one, it all has to go in one can. The amount of people that you find out that A, don't recycle anything, B, literally fill up 2 96-gallon trash cans in a week is astounding. You go, oh, you're doing your part. I'm doing my part and doing this. Everybody's doing their part, right? And you find out it's like, no, they're not.
No.
But no, sir, they are not. They are literally like on the town page talking about they're just going to start burning all their trash and all this other stuff. And then like one person will be like, the recycling center's right in the middle of town. They're like, I'm not doing that crap. Like they're a lot of people are definitely any gains that you're making. There's a whole lot of people intentionally making sure they're not.
It's one of those things that
It's true. It's so true.
You don't know who your neighbors are until you pick up little things like that. One of the things that I noticed, and it goes along the lines of what you're saying with, people really not caring or doing anything. I used to work as a service advisor at a car dealership. And in the beginning of COVID, there were all the plastic barriers and masks on. I had at least like 20 to 30 customers a day. They walk in the door, you go to put the mask on, they're like, dude, I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
Like a day, 20 to 30 people. And then one person, you cough with the mask on, and they look at you like you just farted in their face.
I mean, I guess at the time it would have been safer to fart.
Still socially unacceptable.
Filtered a little bit,
I had so when it was all in effect, and then we'll get off that because what a terrible time in everyone's life. But I give blood all the time, as much as I can, because we need it, because the blood bank needs it.
Always, though.
I will definitely make more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's fine. And over COVID, it was really bad. Like, no one was going to donate. So I was going in every time they'd let me. And I didn't have anything to do, so it wasn't like my schedule full, So I go in, and it's, first of all, it's a medical facility. So they're the first place that should start masking, is there. I mean, they're literally bodily fluids and crap in the air. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. Maybe we should just mask in there as a general rule anyway.
Yeah.
So, I come in and everybody's masked and they've got the thing up and there's signs literally freaking everywhere. Please wear your mask. Please wear your mask. This guy bursts into this place, no mask on, runs right up to the receptionist, leans around her shield and goes, "Do I have to wear a mask?"
Yeah.
And the woman's like, kind of like, "Yes."
Other side. That's why we put that there.
Like, and then he's like, "Well, it's all bullshit anyway," and he runs out and slams the door so hard that he cracks the glass on the way out.
Wow. Yeah, some people have that anger. You see that anger. I saw this couple clearly should not be together, and I was in like a ShopRite, and they were arguing over who's gonna push the cart. I'm not done yet. I'm going over here. I'm like, can you guys separate now? You shouldn't be together. My God.
Counterpoint, they definitely shouldn't be with anybody else.
No. That's another thing. No, like clearly this wasn't the person for me.
As my grandmother says, there's a lid for every pot. Okay, so
even Hitler had a wife.
So I choose. There's a lid for every pot. So there's a person that fits for that person. It just wasn't those two for each other.
Like I said, I think maybe they actually fit together quite well.
Yeah. And
they're not inflicting themselves on anybody else. So maybe
they're doing the world a service.
This is kismet. They were meant to be.
Yeah.
So didn't have to meant to be them.
It just has to be visual, So out with their lives, about it.
They still take the time to go to the grocery store together.
They do.
Probably to make sure the other one's not poisoning the other one. But who's to say? That's for Jerry Springer to find out.
Could be.
He's still alive.
Be. And the answer is arsenic. I still do grocery store dates with them.
I'll take cyanide for $400, please. So it's like, exactly.
Quarter cup of colon every day?
Honey, why do these green beans taste like almonds? In any case. I've seen flowers in the attic. Anyway.
Oh my gosh. Too funny.
But Miranda and I still do grocery store dates. And it's so, we're such old people. We're so domesticated. Like I do all this fun stuff. Like I go to shows and like I was up at the drive-in at VHS Fest. I was actually driving through media. I was thinking about it on the way out.
There we go.
But I do all this fun stuff. And then people are like, well, what do you guys do on dates? It must be awesome. I'm like, well, we go to dinner so nobody has to cook. And then we go to the grocery store together. Like what? And I'm like,
yeah, I mean, who said romance is dead?
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Clearly it's alive.
I go to the grocery store with a list.
Mm.
And I don't look up, and I don't look at other crap, and I don't shop. I get what's on the list, and I get out. And I do the shopping because I make my own schedule during the day. So I can bug out when it's not busy and take care of it at home. Miranda wants to shop and look at stuff to try new things because she does the bulk of the cooking. So, that's why the date works. And we can, this is a fun thing we're going to have for dinner. And, would you make this if I made this? And, it's a very nice domesticated date.
It's a bonding time.
Yeah, I would not put down the domesticated date. It doesn't all have to be wine and roses, boys and girls.
Right. It's a good point.
That gets kind of tiring.
Sometimes you just want to say, hey, let's go to the grocery store. Man, that was fun. It was a nice break in the day. You got out in the sun. It says a lot for most people. They don't get out in the sun anymore.
We walk the dog together.
There you go. My dog shits like every other minute. It's like he saves it his entire life for when we take a walk outside. So we just have fun in the backyard now. Like, I'm not carrying 27 bags because he likes to poop in all these different yards.
That's interesting.
I'm here.
Hey, you know what? I could go again.
Here, okay? Don't forget me.
This is the guy who was talking all that shit. I'm going to shit on his front yard. Maybe there's some puppy politics in there that I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, definitely. I mean, mine definitely is like, somebody definitely peed here. Like, I can't have that.
This is my spot.
We're going to cover that up.
It's their version of like scratch out on graffiti.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Oh, does that say Bob? Okay, cool. Bob sucks.
This guy's marking my turf.
Can't have that,
They don't have thumbs, so they can't properly tag, so they went to urine.
Super, no, movable thumbs or anything like that. Oh, too much.
So what is everybody reading comic book wise?
Oh, man. I still have to get through. I bought all 4 versions of Sandman.
Okay.
I'm going through that. I got through my Star Wars because I'll grab usually a little compendium, or I'll grab a random one up at Ollie's I don't have.
Oh yeah.
And I'll just go through that. And that's where I've gotten a lot of them from. But I've gone through my Batman run. It's where I've gotten the ones like 3 Jokers, Killing Joke, Long Halloween. I've read through those, which, 3 Jokers is brilliant. I love that one. But yeah, no, Sandman. I've tried to get back into some other stuff. My brother actually got the omnibus of Spawn, which is thick.
Yeah, we're like what 480 or something. I mean, it's
this thing is massive,
and that's not even half of it at this point.
Oh yeah, no, this is just Compendium 1, and like Sandman of 7, and like Sandman is like not even full. I'd say it's probably just below Image for one compendium.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that just goes to show, boys and girls, like this is like a life's work right here.
It makes me feel old when I see the number that Spawn is on, because I was like, I remember going to the store and buying Spawn #1 back in the olden days.
1990. Oh my God. They like freaked out at Marvel when these guys left and their books came out. And I went down to the comic book shop and brought Spawn #1. It went around the office so fast. I went from a really nice copy to like, I wouldn't line a birdcage with it, by the time it got back to me. It's like, wow. So yeah, it's been a while, children.
It's fun. It always also sort of blows my mind the progression of Image, like what it started as and what it is now.
Yeah.
Because look, I have some nostalgia for the '90s, but I don't have a lot of nostalgia for the writing over Image.
No one did. No one did. It's a bunch of people that just threw it out there, whatever.
Yeah, decided they didn't need editors, effectively.
Yeah, literally, there were artists there who says, you know what, they're your traffic. This comes in this time, this goes out that time, and that's it. That's all your say is, not, the guy's got 2 left feet, the guy, one eye is going this way and one eye is kind of going that way.
Why is he in a new shirt in the next panel? Did he change his shirt? They seem to be having the same conversation. What happened between panel A and B? Did he soil himself and have to go clean up? Like, what happened?
Right, that fast. It's a little,
yeah. No, and look, I have nothing but respect for those guys. They took was a binary industry for the most part. There were lots of little indies at the time, but they really blew it out of the water. They came to this thing, and the time was right, and you know what I mean. Like, they just all the stars aligned, and this is what happened. And a ton of respect for those guys for striking out and being able to do that. Some of them kids at the time. You know, everybody likes to make fun of Liefeld, and I certainly have. So
yeah,
but you got to remember that he was a literal kid at the time, like a kid that suddenly had basically stardom thrust upon him when that stardom never even existed until that moment. Really, it's not really the way it worked. And I think that he did all right for a situation that was very intense and very novel. But again, it's interesting to see that kind of very superhero-y stuff, some of it a little knockoffy from other things, very, you know, and muscles on top of muscles on top of pouches on top of muscles, and go to now being a lot of arty books and a lot of sort of genre books that aren't superhero-y, and there's a few still in there, and they still do some legacy stuff. And then you've got like Tony's doing like Local Man, which is amazing. If you're not reading that, you should be reading.
Who's this?
Local Man.
Okay.
It's why am I spacing on Tony's last name? Hang on. And if you hear it mowing, my neighbor mows like 8 times a week, so I apologize for that. Apparently, the grass is never short enough for him. Tony Fleeks. So he's writing Local Man, which is sort of turning literally the Image style superhero book on its face. And really, it's a very interesting read. And Tony's great anyway. He's doing that. I'm actually reading 3 things he's on right now. Local Man, Uncanny Valley, which is, I don't even know if I want to give it away. I don't even know if explaining it would give it away.
I've seen that name before.
I'll check it out.
Tunes are real, boys and girls. Think Roger Rabbit. Tunes are real. It's great. And then Feral, which is sort of kind of a sequel to Stray Dogs.
Okay.
And if you were, what's that?
I think I saw that recently someplace. Feral.
Yeah. So it's about cats. The Stray Dogs was about dogs. I won't give away Feral because it's ongoing. Stray Dogs is finished though, so I'll give away the setup. I will not give away. But Stray Dogs is there's a serial killer, or there's a killer. He's killing people and then he's taking their dogs. And it's from the dog's point of view, and they're figuring it out. Like, they don't know why they're suddenly in this situation, and then through their eyes, they figure out why they're here and what's going on, and then, you know, insanity ensues. And it's done in a very Disney style of art as well, while being sort of hyper violent and, you know, that kind of thing. And it's Trish Forstner is the artist on that. She's going to be at Ocean City. She was at Ocean City last year too.
Oh, okay.
It's very Disney-fied art, and the juxtaposition between sort of the art and the storytelling is amazing. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful book. And then Feral it's a zombie book. It's about cats. The zombiness though is a rabies outbreak.
Ooh.
So it's a zombie story. It's absolutely a zombie story, but the zombie illness is just
Rabies.
You know, rabies, which makes all the sense in the world.
Okay. I'll check those out.
No, they're great. You definitely check them out. Stray Dogs is in trade. Feral is ongoing, and they've done multiple prints of everything up to, I think we're up to 4 now. So your comic shop should be able to get all 4 of them in you know, 5th or 6th or 8th printing. Plus, they always do horror homage covers.
Nice.
Which is rad. Like, so they did my favorite one they did is for Stray Dogs, they did Demons, that movie, which is a favorite. But yeah, they do tons of them, so yeah, check this out.
Oh,
absolutely.
I will. I definitely will. Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm subscribed to like 15 books or something right now. which is why I have a giant pile that I haven't read yet.
Yeah.
So I'm on those. On the new Dick Tracy book, which is good, but I mean, I don't really know who it's for because it's definitely a different take on Dick Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
It's good though. It's an interesting read. I'm just finishing up the Left Hand and the Six Fingers, which are two books that kind of go together, which is an interesting thing. How else am I on? Space Ghost. I'm on Space Ghost.
Okay.
I'm on Gotcha Man. I'm on Hulk, which has been really good. It's a body horror book right now.
Okay.
Which makes sense, and the art fits that. It's really good. I'm on the new Ghost Rider run. I didn't like it as much as the last Ghost Rider run, but it's still pretty good. I'm on Predator when it picks back up. The hell else am I on? So much stuff. Oh, World Tree, which I think is just ending too. World Tree from Image. This really tells you why I have so many books. I don't even remember what I'm on.
Well, have you heard of fundmycomic.com?
No. Is it a new Kickstarter thing?
It's like Kickstarter. Had Luke Stone on. And essentially, what I loved about it is that they aren't using an algorithm like the others. Their front page, you'll see somebody who has $0 funded next to somebody who has like 10 grand funded. We had on Vaughn Coleman. He's a writer out of Emerson, and he has his book out now, Phenomenova. Very successful on Fund My Comic. Luke, really great guy, and instead of the 5%, he charges 3%.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's giving more to the artist, and it's not algorithm based. It's gotten a lot of traction and a lot of success. I've also seen about 25 comics the first time going through that I wanted to buy when I didn't have the money for them.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to add more expense to your wallet, but there are definitely, like, I had on a local program director for a country station in Philly, WXTU. I was talking to Mark Raz, and he told me, you got to have this guy, Vaughn Coleman, on. And it was after I talked to Luke Stone. And I was like, that name sounds familiar. I go to edit a podcast, and I was with Luke Stone. I'm looking at Vaughn's comic. I literally added it in the podcast, and man, that sounds familiar. And then I had him on. And you can find amazing, amazing comics on that site that I've seen a bunch that, they're on like, second and third runs, they're on there. He also has the Fundiverse, which is for, everything else other than comics. Right. And he's starting that up with a good deal as well, which is 0% for the Fundiverse. Oh. So if you have like games, or tabletops, and stuff like that, pop that out there. But Fund My Comic, I always like to talk about his website because it's a lot more honest in the fact that you don't have this algorithm picking and choosing what should be on their front page. It's the creators of the page saying, yeah, let's pick this one. This one looks cool. So it's almost like getting a recommendation from your friend.
Nice. Yeah, I'll take a look. I'll pop through. But I'm probably like you. I'll probably be like, well, I'm not going to buy all these.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, I'll get this one. I can't get these 75 other ones. I can't justify that.
Oh, listen. So my shop is Ogre's Grove in Milton, Delaware, which you were just at.
I was. Great shop, great place, really cool.
And so plug, because he's an old friend and a sponsor, so I gotta plug him.
I was just down in Milton not too long ago.
Oh, you should have stopped by. It's right next to the library, right on Main Street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, next time I'm down there, I'm going to stop by.
Yeah, pop in. Check his hours, but pop in.
You Monday and Tuesday. No, was it Sunday and Monday? Are you closed? What days are you closed?
No, Sunday's open. Monday's closed. Monday and Tuesday sometimes.
Okay, yeah. The rest Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, definitely. I've done that. I go down there on like a Monday and like shit, he's closed. But great place. He gave me a bit of history of the place. Super nice guy. Just really, Jason was really, really nice. So Justin, sorry, he was a super nice.
But he will throw stuff in my box because if it's indie stuff that's halfway interesting, he will always throw it. And I'm a sucker for it. Like there's so many books that I have just started because he was like, "Here, you'll like it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I do like it. Damn it."
Mhm.
I'm on all the Ghost Machine books. So all the new Image books. So Geiger, Redcoat.
Yes.
Yeah, all those.
Wow, you just reminded me of, I have a whole bunch of comics that I actually do need to read through. Beginning of this year, I did the intro and category videos for the Heroic Awards, and it was their first year for an indie comic award show for indie by indie. It was over 200 submissions, 100 judges, and I got to do the finalist videos. So I fell on the sword. I had to read through all the finalist comics because I had to have the cover photo and I had to have 2 interiors.
Yeah,
I'll do the work. It's fine. I'll fall on this grenade for all of us, okay? And I still have to go through and actually reread some because like there were a lot of really great ones. Like IRA was one that just stands out in my head because it was so just color. I'm pretty sure it won best color, but visually it was stunning. Some of the amazing indie art that I just got for free. Free is my favorite thing. So, you did remind me. I have to read through IRA and a bunch of the other comics that I got for free with Heroic because the indie scene, it's not formulaic. I say it on this podcast all the time. It's not Captain America. It's not Spider-Man. It's not Wolverine. It's an amalgamation of probably all of them. Powers and personalities, and now you have a brand new comic. One of my favorites was Frank Alim's Diary of Sweet Pea.
Sweet Pea.
Those 2 issues he has, brilliant story. Brilliant story. I don't even want to give it away, but the little girl Sweet Pea, it's a tale that you're gonna be like, oh wow, okay, very well done. So, getting a lot of the experience in seeing how these indie comic creators are making a different product than the bigs like Image, like DC, and even Dark Horse and Marvel. You're getting a lot more original content out of these people.
Well, and I love that the comics are, and the spandex is always going to be there. It just sort of is. When you say comic book to the layman, that's what they think. It's spandex.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, they're spandex books. The superhero books are spandex books for the most part.
But now 90% of the people who are saying, oh, it's a spandex book, they're wearing yoga pants.
Well, yeah. But that's what people think. Like when you say comic books to people, they think the Avengers and Superman, this kind of stuff.
Right.
I have definitely turned into a comic book hipster for a very long time. I wasn't reading anything from the big 2 at all. The occasional like Vertigo title or something like the nice House on the Lake and stuff like that. I was reading mostly like noir and sci-fi and horror stuff, which I still gravitate to. It's been really recently that I picked up the Hulk because again, it's a body horror book, and I'm like, okay, cool. And Ghost Rider because I'm still a 12-year-old edgelord apparently, and I love Ghost Rider. But yeah, for the longest time, I wasn't reading any superhero book at all. Nothing. Not even the ones that are sort of lampooning it. Nothing. It was all, just weird, like cop books or detective books or horror books or just out there sci-fi stuff. And I love that there's so much more of that now. I love that that's really where Image is, because the nice thing about them doing those kinds of things is it pushes those out into the sort of more mainstream flow and says, hey, look, it doesn't always have to be superheroes. Sometimes it can literally be about anything. It'd be a Western. What's the book I'm reading right now? Scotty Young's new Western book. It's No Man's Grave. But I love that. And what it does is it definitely makes it okay for other indies to put this stuff out and say, hey, look, this stuff does exist in the sphere. We do have, and it's awesome to be novel, but it's also awesome to have somebody sort of knock down the trees so you can walk through a little more easily. Right. And when you can get this stuff into the mainstream a little more, it signals that it's okay to have those books, and that no, it's not all going to be spandex. No, look, I can refer to these other books and say, no, this stuff does work. Like this stuff is popular, just not necessarily in the zeitgeist outside of comic though.
Well, there's also the Robert Kirkman effect, because for a while, even comics, you'd have apocalypse, zombies, some other, like Why the Last Man. I read some of that, and I was like, okay, Sweet Tooth. I really enjoyed the comic. I thought what I read of it, at least, was really good. I actually enjoyed the series too. I thought that was a nice take on that world, but like you're saying, it's not superhero. One of the things that I first started reading when I started rereading comics was Walking Dead. And my buddy was like, hey, you like the show? Well, the comic's even better. And I didn't know by better he meant by a lot more brutal and gory. But, dude, by the time I got to Glenn's death, I was, like, inconsolable. Because he made you love this character. Not because, he's Steve Rogers and Peter Parker. It's because, no, you love Glenn. He's this little nerdy Asian kid who was a delivery driver who somehow made it to this point. And he was a good guy until the end, when he met Lucille. So there was that got me into it. And I'm like, all right, well, what else do I want? So I did go back to the bigs and stuff like that because it's very easily accessible. But in today's day and age, indie is just as accessible, if not more, because of you can find it online. You can go to the Kickstarter. You can go to the Fund My Comic. You can get in on a basement level and then get extras, the variant covers, the stickers, and all the other stuff that you see on the Kickstarters just on these independent ventures. And you don't know who is going to be the next big name.
Well, and media generally, the internet has been the great democratizer for media, and that goes to comics and music and movies and whatever you want to put the thing on. And I mean, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because what it means is, yes, you can release your own stuff, but so can everybody else. Sure. And now there's just so many places to put your eyes. You know what I mean? Like there was a time where you had to go through a larger media company to sort of have your stuff out there at all. And if you did that, you were kind of guaranteed an audience. Now you can put your own stuff out, but it doesn't guarantee anyone's actually going to look at it. So it is a bit of a double-edged sword, but it is literally the best time for you to be independently creating anything, because the tools out there to you now are so widely available. Help is widely available. A YouTube video on how to do a thing is there. It's absolutely there. You don't have to print 1,000 of things.
Yeah.
When PLB first started, and this is even before I came on board, they literally had to print 1,000 copies of the first book. That's a barrier most people can't.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of money, even at reduced cost for like just pay for printing. That's a lot of money.
I mean, 1,000 books, that's a couple $1,000, and you got to warehouse them. That's the other thing. Yeah. And then you got to sell them. And this is also pre-Kickstarter, so that wasn't going to happen. Yeah. How difficult is it? Now our printer, I think their minimum is 25.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's much easier. And again, you can start a website for almost no money. You can start a social media page for no money. And you can move your stuff through that. You can do a Kickstarter if you choose to do that. And those tools just were not available then.
Yeah.
I find so much stuff that way now. I find so much music that way. It's just like fall down a YouTube rabbit hole. Like, who's this? Oh, there's some local band out of Jersey, but they're fantastic. You know what I mean? Like, great, I'll buy the record.
Right.
So it's cool. It's an interesting time to be a creator. It's definitely different than it's ever been before.
Yeah. The tools are great, but also just the accessibility to having them now is amazing as well. Now going into AI and the AI world, a lot of people, they don't like the AI. I get that. I love using, I love having fun with AI. I will put it that way. When it comes down to anything that I would create, I would much rather it be, me creating this vision or this world. Now, that being said, you can use those AI tools in a different way than what people are thinking now of creating content. You can use the AI in marketing, in different forms of pushing this out that are going to be a lot more helpful. Even if you go with the simple AI of, You want me to try to make this sound better? Yeah, I do. And then it goes, here, this is what you were trying to say, stupid. And you're like, oh man, that does sound better.
I think AI has its place. I don't think it has its place too much in art.
Mm-hmm.
I think from the advertising perspective, sure, if I need to rewrite a press release, and I use those tools,
right?
Because I have to write stuff for Ocean City Comic Con. I have to write stuff occasionally for PLB. I have to write stuff for I'm on the board of my local makerspace. So if we have an ask letter that we need to send around for a grant or whatever, I'll run it through. I'll type up what I have, and then I'll run it through like Grammarly and Chat GPT to see sort of to round off my edges to get rid of the buzzers. Those kind of things. And I think for those kind of things, it's really good. I think it's going to make things easier for people. However, if you sell AI art, you're not welcome on my.
Oh yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Like there is just a preponderance of people out there, and especially early on before everybody knew what was happening. There were some people that I knew personally who were doing it.
Yeah.
That I don't really talk to anymore. Where they were putting this out. This is my art. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I know what your style looks like. It doesn't look like this. And why do they hate 12 fingers? You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. And for that, no, you're not an artist. Like you're not an artist. You in the loosest conceivable terms, you have created this thing.
Yeah.
But I do not think that it is. I don't think you should be selling it.
Right.
That said, you can do whatever you want.
We're right. Yeah.
You can.
I mean,
but
if they are going to keep doing that for art and saying it's theirs, then create a seal. This was actually created by a human.
Yeah. Well, it's going to get harder and harder.
Oh, yeah, it's going to get a lot harder. I made the idea sound real simple.
It's rough now, and it looks unbelievably polished. It's rough now. As far as the work, overall, like you said, 12 fingers and, little incidental things that are not quite accurate, but the overall, the better you can make your description or isolate and change, it's only going to get better. And if you look at some of the images now, it looks unbelievable, and it's done in a matter of seconds. Literally less than 30 seconds, you can have an image that you describe, that you simply just typed out with some commas and some adjectives, and you can put out an unbelievable looking pearl. But few people can paint that way. I mean, that's a high degree of being able to paint at that degree. But the thing is, you have multiple images of that, and I look at that and I go, I can see that it's AI. I mean, it takes a little discerning eye, but a lot of people are fooled. I mean, they think it's someone actually painted it. With a little bit of your own Photoshop and your own little splatter and this, that, and the other. It's unbelievable, but
I'm
still hairy.
I will give you an example. We had a local music event. I won't call it out by name. That was large, very large event. Run through nonprofits and everything else. And they had a poster contest for that year's event, and the winner was AI. And the people who were doing judging it or whatever didn't know it. And like me and someone who was more arty who was involved with it, and some other people looked at it and went, "That's AI." Like, oh, and I'm like, no, that's AI. That's definitely AI. And by the time that they came around to realizing it was, they had already printed stuff. And they had to let it go. And it was a hubbub. The kid who had put the thing in got a lot of backlash online. Like it went national. People were like, here's this event that's a relatively large, nonprofit arts event, whatever. And here's this kid who profited off this AI image. And now they look dumb as an arts event.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know.
Right.
And I mean, this kid was getting like, you went to his wall. Because of course I morbidly went and looked. Because of course you did. And it was just people chewing him. And the kid was like 17 or 18 or something. And he learned a lesson, certainly, and a hard one.
That was a life lesson. That was definitely a life lesson he needed to pick up, man.
But
our
this just goes to show, like, this was
guarded.
An arts event.
Yeah.
This is an arts event, and they didn't know. And that's with AI now. What about AI in 2 years? What
Yeah.
about
Oh, yeah.
10?
Right. Yeah.
I was just
You know,
thinking that. It's,
able to tell.
we can tell now.
Well,
They're in the little things that you can look at that you see that stand out. The absolute perfect look of lighting, the hour of form, and there's no human filtration. I mean, some people are really good at doing things like that, but not that good. There's still a
Right.
human element in there that is missing. There's just it's unbelievable. I mean, it really is, but you have to really look really closely uh, and know what it is that AI can do, and what it can't do. And without that smidgen of an idea,
Yeah.
it'll smoke right by you.
you're just not going to know.
Yeah.
Fellas, I'll be right back.
Okay. Matt, I gotta go.
Yeah, me too. She ordered groceries. I gotta go pick up. So when he comes back, we'll end off.
We'll just end now.
We do have even minus the long log on, about like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And that long log on, that's going to be chopped down. This is still going to be a 2-hour podcast.
We'll do it reverb just as an effect, not so much.
I
Is it
may
fun
do
to
that
do
in the
this?
beginning of the podcast just to mess with you guys.
Yeah.
Like, no, the reverb again.
Yeah. James, thank you so much, man. I mean, you're always been an awesome guy. The first time I called you up on the phone, says, "Hey, you got room at your event?" Always been a super guy, and I'm so glad to meet you, be a good friend, and you've been awesome. So, I mean, just more success. I will definitely see you in December. Probably something before
May
that.
actually be able to talk to you when I show up there on the 15th. It'll be a nice quiet day. Hey.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
We'll see.
It may be the busiest Sunday in con history.
Yeah. Well, that would be great too, I guess.
Tumbling dice. Hey, you got to roll just to find out, So
Yeah,
Exactly. I'd like to end off this podcast.
No problem. Anytime.
Yeah, anytime you want to be on, man. Even if you want to be on again closer to the event, send me a line. Let me know. We'll definitely love to have you on.
For sure.
Because I like to end off this podcast, gang, the same damn way every time. Because we love you, we miss you, and we want to see you next week, Perjangers. Until then, game on, boys and girls. Bye-bye.
Hey, like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Comment below.
Yeah. Click the button wherever.
Bye.
All right. Nope, it's got the wrong camera.
So what's doing, Matt?
Not much, Frank. Not much. Just got another podcast with Corey Castle on Tuesday at some point. I got to nail down a time with him.
Okay.
I was just on his podcast. There we go.
There.
There we go.
It's wonderful when it actually hooks up to the right camera. That's usually the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Almost had it. The Matrix almost worked for you,
Almost, but
Okay.
welcome to the Tales of the Hunted podcast.
There he is.
Well, thank you very much.
What's going on, James?
Oh, not a ton. Just hanging out. You are feeding back, and so am I.
Yeah, I just had a reset on it. That is horrifying. I'll get back into voice and video again.
I mean, on the positive end, it's just making you mad. I have only one voice track going, so
That's a you problem, not a me problem.
I'm going to turn it off.
Yeah, I learned very quickly. I've had this Rodecaster, a mixing board Rodecaster for about 4 years, and it changed my life. I love this microphone. This microphone headphone setup, I have it set up all the time on my 3 monitors here for my computer that I do for most of my editing. Like my first book. Come on. It doesn't want it. There we go. Hey,
There you go.
picture perfect small towns, York and Media, PA. Available on Amazon now. $30, you get to see amazing pictures that I got to do. Oh, that's where the blur. Huh? You get to see these pictures. Yeah. Amazing. But yeah, I recently just made my first book. Went up to York and over to Media, and my agent got me at the penthouse suite of Hotel Yorktown, and I got to go right up to the edge and take pictures of the whole skyline. And that's what most of the book is, which is really awesome when you're up there. But thank God I'm a short guy, and it was like right here. So I was like, all right, not too close. Gotta keep this camera. Gonna set it down, go for the shot there. So you had to be very, very careful.
Bye.